Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we will be telling you about the income inequality in the UK. Firstly, what exactly is income inequality? Well, income inequality is an extreme concentration of wealth or income in the hands of a small percentage of a population. This phenomenon is usually described as the gap between the richest and the poorest of a country.
So, according to the UK's Office for National Statistics, in 2018 the average income of the poorest fifth of the population contracted by 1.6%, while the average income of the richest fifth rose by 4.7%. The cause of income contraction has been identified to be caused by the falling average cash value of the British pound, while the rise in earnings from employment has lifted the income of the richest.
But when did all of this start, and what led up to it? Here's a little history on the income inequality of the UK. During the post-war years, the UK became a much more equal nation. The share of income going to the top 10% dropped from 34.6% in 1938 to 21% in 1979. Meanwhile, the share of the bottom 10% rose slightly.
Now, here's a graph presented to be the income share over time. And as can be interpreted from the graph, since 1979, the process of narrowing income inequality took a complete U-turn, and income inequality rose considerably over the 1980s, reaching its peak in 1990. And since the early 1990s, changes in inequality have been less dramatic, after falling slightly over the early to mid 1990s, as seen in the graph. Inequality, as shown by the Gini coefficient, reached a new peak in 2010, and after that inequality fell and has stayed relatively level since.
The current problem of rising income inequality in the UK started escalating from the Brexit vote in 2016. Ever since the Brexit vote, the pound has been dropping, driving inflation rates up to a speed that wage changes can't keep up with. This type of pattern in the economy causes unemployment to rise and divides the social groups in the UK further apart from each other. The causes of income contraction has been identified to be caused by the falling average cash value of the British pound, while the rise in earnings from unemployment has lifted the income of the richest.
So, what are some approaches that the UK government could take to reduce this growing income inequality? According to the Economic and Social Research Council of the UK, there haven't been any definitive solutions to slow down the ever-growing gap between the haves and the have-nots, but there have been some proposals given in recent years. And one of these policies was to implement an increased progressive tax rate. However, this faced criticism as it may provide a disincentive for higher earners to work hard as more of their income goes to taxes, and it also may cause moral hazards where certain individuals in lower income groups can become lazy, as the state would provide higher transfer payments like unemployment benefits, and they would expect them to provide hefty transfer payments, which they could benefit off of more than if they were to work. And another policy that was suggested would be to decrease unemployment, as the increased income inequality has increased poverty, and especially around the London municipality. And the policies that were suggested were the increasing the employability by providing retraining or complementary training schemes to workers. And another policy that was suggested would be to create or to implement government-sponsored job creation services. However, these policies were criticized as having a minimal impact on solving the actual income inequality, as these policies relating to unemployment would focus on decreasing the poverty.